Hiya, it's Amanda here from Lolli Lulu Crafts, and today I have a video for you that's one from a little while back. I filmed it last year when I first launched my website, and I had lost the film but now found it again, so it's quite exciting to be able to look back and see what I did, and also to find it and have a lovely video hopefully to share with you. So what I'm going to be making is some thank you cards for my giveaway winners, and I'm going to be using this gorgeous washi tape girl from Saturated Canary. Now don't worry about the lines across the screen, that's just to keep the image safe for the artist, but obviously if you have this image you won't have the lines across the screen. So what I'm going to be doing is printing this image out and using my silhouette to do this so that I can then use the print and cut feature. So the first thing that we need to do is to actually import the image into our Silhouette Studio. So I'm going to click on the file button up the top there and then click onto import to the library. That will take us into your folders on your computer, so find the correct folder and then find the correct image. There she is, so we click on that and then either double click or click OK. Then we name it, and it did that automatically for us, but you could change that, and there she is in our library. So then I'm going to double click on her and she gets put onto my virtual mat. So now that we've imported it in, we want to go across to our trace window in order to get our image prepped for our print and cut, and this part is the prepping it for the cut part. So we're basically tracing around the outer edge with a cut line, but for details of exactly how we do this print and cut feature and the trace, etc., go on over to my blog post, which will have the silhouette seminar that goes through this print and cut in detail. But briefly, what I've done here is I've traced around the edge of my image with the sort of yellow, as it were, to create a solid outer edge. So it's not looking at the inside edge, which is all kind of bitty, but it's just to ensure that the outside edge is completely solid. I will then click on the trace outer edge button here, and that will put a cut line all the way around the outside of our image. Okay, so I adjusted my little girl to the size I wanted for my card, and I'm now putting in my page settings, the size of the paper that I'm going to print on, which is 10 by 7, so that's extended itself out. Next, I'm going to click on my registration marks window and put on my registration marks, and this is so that I can do my print and cut. And again, I just refer you back to the video that is on my blog post, the Silhouette Seminar, that will explain all of the whole procedure for the print and cut. So I've made the adjustments to the registration marks to push them out as far as possible, and then I've moved my little girl across the very edge, and then we're going to click on my replicate button here, and we're going to replicate 2 of her across to the right. So we're clicking replicate to the right and again, and that just places the image in the next available cut slot for you. So next I'm going to send these to my printer, and once they're all printed out we're going to get colouring and then we'll get cutting. Okay, so here are all our sheets printed out, and I think they look so cute, and our little images, we've got 12 of these little girls, very cute, and you'll notice here are the registration marks, and they're what's really important when we're doing the cutting part. So I'm going to grab one of these sheets and we're going to work on all 3 at the same time, and that's the plan anyway, and see how that goes, to try and kind of speed colour a little. So we're going to be grabbing my zig pens here, but what happened was I actually started off with the Zigs watercolour pens, but I did actually in the end change my mind and I went over to my Copic markers. So it really kind of is your choice what you prefer. If you want to have a peek at the images that I did with the watercolour pens, then do pop over to the blog post because you'll see photos over there. But here we are now with the Copic markers. These are the colours that I picked, and we're going to get colouring on our images. Even though it's watercolour paper that I printed on, it should be fine. So we're going to get colouring our images in bulk with these pens. So basically I'm going to do 3 images in one go, and we're going to sort of do all the skin, all the trousers, and kind of do it like that so that we get the speed going on rather than doing one whole girl and then the next whole girl. I think it'll be much quicker to do each section in one go for all 3 girls, because you kind of remember what you've done, you get a kind of rhythm going. Okay, so let's speed this video up and get colouring. So as always, we're going to start on the skin, but because we're doing multiple images, I'm going to do a slightly more simplistic colouring. So we're using E51 and E95 only, and just doing a base layer of the paler colour and then just adding in our shadowing with the other colour and then just blending it out, and that's it. So nice and simple, and I think it proves that you can still do quite a simplistic blending and have a really effective look. So then I go and finish all 3 of the skins before moving on to the jeans, and I'm using here E93 and B97, and they're sort of really nice colours for the jeans. So we're just adding in the darker colour, then blending this out. Now you would probably find this easier than I am, because don't forget I'm on watercolour paper due to the sort of change of direction that I took. So what I'm finding is it's a little harder to blend, and I'm finding that it's bleeding out a little bit more, but I think it still looks really cool, and as you can see all 3 are done. Okay, so next we're going to be doing her eyes, and we're using Y63 and YG23, just adding a little darker colour in those corners of the eyes to add a shading. So now we're moving on to her shoes, and we're going to be using E51, E43 and E47. So just adding the soles there, then the buttons, just using the 2 darker colours. Then on the actual shoe itself, we're adding in the shading, then a little highlight in the centre of the shoe there. I like to put that in first just so I can see where it is, even though as you see I would go over it just to blend it through. It just makes me remember to put it in, and then as you can see all 3 little girls are done. Next it's the heart, and we're using R46 and R05. Then we're moving on to the t-shirt and socks itself. Now they are white, so we need to just add in a little shading so that it doesn't look perfectly white, and if you compare the 2 you can see the difference. Next we are moving on to the patch using Y17 and Y08. Then we're moving on to the washi tapes, and we're using RV06, BG01 and YG23, and then we're moving on to the little hairband, which is the same 2 colours as her jeans, and you can see here I did all 3 in one go. Then we're moving on to her hair, and I just put a wash of the paler colour on, and that is YR31, and then using Y28 just to add in some darker shading, and then going back over that same area with the original colour. And there is all of our little girls coloured. You can see the 2 images there that I did in the Zig watercolour pens. Okay, so now let's get and put these onto my silhouette and cut these all out. Okay, so here are all our little girls all cut out. Now I did have an issue with the silhouette in that my second sheet just got chopped up to pieces. I worked out later that what happened is I had pressed a load media instead of load matte, and therefore the silhouette thought that things were in a different position to where they were. So anyway, it's all sorted out now, we know what happened, but otherwise it's all cut out beautifully. But it does mean that I've now only got 9 little girls nails instead of 12, but that should work out fine because I did do a couple extra just in case. Phew. So then I've got the card bases here. These are all pre-scored card bases, A5 in size. So I've got 3 colours which complement our images. So I'm going to use the purple ones on my zig coloured ones because they've got purple. The other 2 work really well for my other colours, and then I have matching envelopes as well. So all I need to do first of all is just fold all of these into halves to make the A5 card, and then we need to start putting our actual card together. So I then mark my card with the center point of where my image is going to be and the center line, just a rough line, so that I know where to start my washi tape from, because I'm going to be using all sorts of washi tape and just sticking it out from that center point, either the line or the actual center point, just out towards the edge of my card, and ripping it off and just putting a whole bunch of washi tape in this way. And then obviously what I'll do is I'll put my image on top of that, so where the pieces sort of combine and go into the center, that will get hidden by our image. So now that that's all finished with the washi tape put on, I am putting some pin flare glue gel on the back of my little girl, and I am going to pop her down into the center of that star, as it were, of washi tape, and the pin flare will just give her a little bit of height and therefore the whole thing a bit of dimension, which I think is nice. And also obviously being pin flare, it gives us a little movement, and there she is completed. So all I need to do now is repeat that 9 more times and we have our cards made. Okay, and there's all the finished cards. Don't they look so cute? I hope you like them too. I'd love to hear your comments, and if you want to see some more photos, do pop on over to the corresponding blog post, and it will also have that extra information that we talked about. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching, and bye for now. Bye!